everyone, my name is Markó and I'm here today to do a presentation on world of work. I chose this topic because I identify as a career-oriented person. Besides, I always thought that we all should be properly introduced to that before we step into it. Without further ado, let's get right into it. Here you can see my subtopics listed, which I'm going to talk about in more detail during this presentation. First and foremost, nowadays we have several options and opportunities regarding which career path we want to enter. Going on with this presentation, you will be able to see different types of jobs to choose from when it comes to working. However, it hasn't always been like that. Back in the day, patriarchal society was common, which is a male-dominated power structure. In the 21st century, we can hardly imagine how it was like. That's why throughout agriculture, let me show you its advantages and disadvantages. For instance, having the whole family to take part in agriculture allowed them to spend more time together, in contrast with the current situation, where the fast developments of machinery has made this job far easier, yet has made individual work more possible. Moreover, many argue that women and children had no other choice but help, consequently they didn't get any education. My next topic, women at work, is still relevant to what I have talked about. We all know that women have to live their lives as housewives. There were some, obviously, who held traditionally feminine jobs, such as secretaries or receptionists, but in reality, the two world wars brought them the rather unfortunate opportunity to enter the workforce. Men were shipped overseas by the millions to serve in the war, and that has left many civilian and military jobs on the home front unfilled, and that's when women stepped in. In a nutshell, that's how women's chances got more and more diverse and led to today's situation. I must tell the truth that this topic worth a whole presentation on its own, so I'm utterly sorry I had to cut this short. Even though changes have been introduced, we are still have to deal with issues concerning work life. First and foremost, it's important to know that all the positive attributes that have been mentioned have only been successfully changed in developed countries. But what are developed and developing countries, you might ask? Most commonly, the criteria for evaluating the degree of economic development is GDP, GNP, per capita income, amount of widespread infrastructure, and the general standard of living. Those countries who lack in these are determined as developing countries. This brings us to one of the biggest problems around the world, to the existence of child labor. Child labor is briefly defined as any work that deprives children of their childhood, their potential, and their dignity, and that is harmful to their physical and mental development. Although not everything is child labor, we must remember that. For instance, the participation of adolescents in employment at work that does not affect their health and personal development or interfere with their schooling is usually regarded as being something positive, such as helping out at a family business or earning pocket money outside of school hours or during school holidays. These activities contribute to the children's development and provide them with skills and experience, thus help them to be productive members of society during their adult lives. Nonetheless, child labor still exists, and those children who are forced to work are ultimately exposed to danger. There's a term called hazardous work, which is any work that by its nature or the circumstances in which it is carried out is likely to harm the health, safety, and morals of children. I've collected some common examples of hazardous child labor on the next slide. Well, hazardous work includes any work which exposes children to physical, psychological, or sexual abuse, Secondly, working underground, underwater, at dangerous heights or in confined spaces. If children have to use dangerous machinery, tools or equipment, that's considered hazardous work too. If they are exposed to hazardous substances, to temperatures, to noise levels or to vibrations, that's considered hazardous work as well. Lastly, if they are forced to work under particularly difficult conditions, such as for long hours or at night. Even though we've seen that developing countries have a lot more to deal with, let's touch upon the increasing youth unemployment, which heavily affects the developed societies. Market research has shown that the young are overrepresented in temporary jobs and fewer permanent jobs are offered to them. These could be due to their blurred career vision, their lack of master's degrees, and their lack of confidence. They also have to face ageism, which is usually overlooked how much of a struggle it is for the young. Believe it or not, it can involve ignoring their ideas because they are considered too young, or it's assumed that they should behave in a certain way because of their age. What could be the solution? I see it in education. Introducing practical skills such as IT, technology, or business could be of use. This way, students can identify which career path they want to enter. Moreover, regular discourses about education and the world of work could be of assistance too. In this chart, you can see the youth unemployment rate in the European Union in April 2022. It's very well illustrated that those countries, such as Greece, Spain, and Italy, who have built their economy on tourism, are on the lead. But as soon as high season is over, they are left with a huge unemployment rate. Usually at bars and on the beaches, they employ attractive young adults, but as soon as peak season is over, these temporary jobs come to an end. It's also seen that other Mediterranean countries are as badly affected as the three mentioned. Sweden could be surprising to see so high above, but according to my research, the cost of employment is too expensive. Moreover, the rather generous unemployment benefits allow people to live comfortably enough. In contrast with Germany, which ranks as one of the lowest, due to their high social security system, which makes them possible to set the minimum wage at around 1,500 euros per month, thus creating a high standard of living situation. Now, developed societies have decided on a system to determine the participants of the labor market. In my opinion, it's vital to know about the positions which you, a future job seeker, can fill in. I divided this into two parts because it's a rather wide spectrum, and I'd like to give you the clearest idea of them all. Firstly, an employee is a person who provides labor and expertise for their employer and is paid a salary in exchange, while an employer is an individual, which could only be just a person, but a company or an organization as well, that hires employees and has the power to control the employees' work duties. Now that you've got introduced to the basics, I'd like to highlight two more important participants, the freelancers and the self-employed. Freelancers usually work on multiple short-term projects for different businesses, whereas the self-employed are more likely to be entrepreneurs, business owners, or startup funders. They usually run businesses and have more autonomy. Legally, these two are the same thing, but while all freelancers are self-employed, not every self-employed person is a freelancer. As I've already mentioned, wider possibilities are ahead of us with the advantages of living in a 21st century, and it made us possible to get introduced to different types of jobs, and I've collected some, starting with part-time jobs. With the help of this chart, I'd like to explain why people tend to choose part-time instead of full-time. The chart is based on data provided by Eurostat, which is a department of the European Commission. The chart highlights the most common reasons for choosing part-time between the age of 20 and 64. It represents both men and women respectively. In the middle, the most common reasons, such as illnesses or family responsibilities and more, are illustrated. In men's case, not being able to find full-time is the number one cause, closely followed by implicit problems. According to my research, it could be the lack of required skills or degrees. This is also a huge difficulty amongst women. However, part-time jobs are ideal for single-parent families, most frequent amongst women who can't choose between career and family. There are also just students who like to gain experience while they're at university, and it's not that frequent yet, but part-time jobs could be offered to the physically handicapped too. In recent years, we were put into quarantine due to COVID-19 and got familiar with the term home office. This new type of job has opened us many new doors and tested our efficiency outside of a regular workplace. Its advantages lie in the reduction of commuting, from the employer's part lower utility costs and fewer sick days, from the employee's part a better and healthier work-life balance and a more flexible working schedule to spend more time with their family. On the contrary, for many, the office is a break from the family, especially for those who have younger children. They might have nowhere to separate to work. There are also certain jobs which require a creative environment and face-to-face communication to brainstorm ideas. As we are getting more educated and aware of working culture, job satisfaction has become an essential factor at work. This covers any additional needs to increase the efficiency of employees. A good employer provides constant motivation and competitive salary to their employees. These two factors could already be attractive to job seekers, but the recently introduced flexi-time working schedule also allows employees to choose when to start and end their workday and / or how long to take their break for, within obviously a grid limit set by the management. Fringe benefits also connected to this topic, but let's see a whole new slide for that. Fringe benefits are basically any form of compensation in addition to the normal wage / salary. Usually group insurances are given, such as health or dental insurances. There are some jobs where traveling or working abroad is required, so a company financing their employees' accommodation is a fringe benefit too. I've done some research, and fringe benefits and perks are sometimes interchangeable, but perks can mean any bonus that given to employees who are doing notably well or have seniority in the form of company cars, mobile phones, or lunch vouchers. We are almost at the end of the presentation, so I'd like to highlight the last topic, which are the popular jobs nowadays. The young have far more chances to find a fitting job for themselves due to the globalization and the world getting all connected. One of the most popular ones are computer science and media studies, which could have been impossible to imagine centuries ago. With the appearance of COVID-19, e-commerce or electronic commerce has become one of the most popular jobs in the world, hand in hand with a web developer and a software engineer or a data scientist. I'd like to end my presentation with a quote from Steve Jobs. He said, "Your work is going to fill a large part of your life, and the only way to be truly satisfied is to do what you believe is great work. And the only way to do great work is to love what you do. If you haven't found it yet, keep looking. Don't settle. As with all matters of the heart, you'll know when you find it." My message with this that you are going to have your ups and downs while working, but don't stuck with a job that you don't enjoy. You keep looking for the opportunities which are beneficial for your own self-improvement. Here you can see my sources. And thank you for your kind attention.